Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Amanda with My Cozy Place, and I'm so excited to be bringing this tutorial to you today of Poppy the Froggy. So I just released this pattern. It's super simple, quick, uses very little yarn. So I just wanted to bring it to you today on a free tutorial. I will go over what you need and let's get started. To create this pattern, you can use any yarn you want. I used Sweet Snuggles Light. This requires an 8mm crochet hook. It's a Super 6 bulky. I used a 7, but if you're going to be going off of whatever yarn you're using, you can go ahead and go by the suggested yarn hook. You'll need safety eyes. Now for this project, you'll need 12mm and above. If you use anything lower than that, the bobble stitch will make it pop right through. You could use felt. You can use whatever you like. Of course, you'll need a darning needle, your crochet hook. I'm using a 7mm for today's. And this is optional. I actually put a scent pack in mine and it just makes them smell so good. I bought the scent pack off of Etsy, and this is her name right here if you want to check it out. Of course, you'll need some stuffing. And your handy dandy scissors, contrasting yarn. This will be the mouthpiece and the little eye accents. So let's jump right into the pattern. For round 1, the pattern calls for a magic ring or magic circle. I'm going to be doing the opposite, or the alternate, I should say. I'm going to chain 2. And then in that second chain from the hook, I'm going to be making 6 single crochets. And that is round 1. Now with this alternate, you'll just have to close that little gap right there. I just take the tail and I close that right up. So now you'll need your stitch marker. I did forget to mention that, but it is very important for this pattern, as we will be working in rounds and you will lose your place if you don't have that. So on round 2, we're going to increase in each stitch in the round. So when you do an increase in this pattern, you're just going to place 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So on that first stitch, you'll want to put your stitch marker. So repeat that around. And here is the last increase right next to our stitch marker. We want to make sure that we go around and we have 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So on round 3, we're going to single crochet 1 in that first stitch. Place your stitch marker. And then in the next stitch, we're going to be increasing. So again, when you increase, you want to do 2 single crochet in the same stitch. And then in the next stitch, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet and then increase. Do that all the way around and I will meet you back for round 4. Okay, so now that we're done with round 3, for that round you will have a total of 18 stitches. So when you're done and you get close to your stitch marker, you can go around and just count and make sure that your count is the same as mine. Now on round 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase. That's 1. We're going to put our stitch marker back in. 2. And then on the next stitch, we're going to increase. So 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Again, we're going to do 1 single crochet, another single crochet for 2, and then an increase. 2 single crochets in the same stitch. That is the repeat for round 4. Go ahead and repeat that all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. This is our last increase row, and I will meet you back. Okay, so we're done with round 4, moving on to round 5. Now this round is we will be making the little bobble stitches. So I did the bobble stitches to make the little legs and arms. So for round 5, we're going to bobble stitch in that first stitch where our stitch marker is. Make a bobble stitch in that first stitch. We are going to yarn over, insert our crochet hook into that first stitch, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to pull through 2. Again, you're going to yarn over, go through that same stitch, pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, pull through 2, 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over again and go through that same stitch, pull up a loop. You'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to still go through 2. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, and then one more time, you're going to yarn over, go through that stitch, pull up a loop, go through 2 of those, and then finally you will have a total of 5 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through all 5 of those loops. And that just creates a nice little bobble there and creates the cute little legs. Now I wanted to show this to you really quickly. And this is where you can get stuck in this crochet pattern. It looks like the next stitch we're going to go into is this one. So when you create the bobble stitch, it tends to be bulky and it tends to create kind of an illusion that there is no stitch right next to it. This is the stitch you're going to be going into. So when you do this pattern, just be aware that the nice big stitch next to it that looks like the stitch you need to go into is actually not. You need to look right next to your bobble stitch, and that will be the stitch you go into. So in the pattern, we're going to go and do 10 single crochets. So again, make sure you're going into that stitch right next to your bobble stitch. That's 1. And 10. In the pattern, we are going to be making our next bobble stitch. So again, you're going to yarn over, go through that stitch, pull up a loop, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2 again, you'll have 3. And you just repeat that until you have 5 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to pull through all 5 of those. And again, remember, you're not going to go into this stitch right here. There is actually a stitch that you need to go into right next to your bobble stitch. So after that, we are going to single crochet in the remaining 12 stitches. All right, so for round 6 through 9, we're actually just going to be placing 1 single crochet in each stitch in the round for a total of 24 single crochets. 6 through 9, that's what you will need to make sure your stitch count is at. So I will meet you back after I'm done with round 9. Definitely keep your stitch marker throughout the crochet pattern so you don't lose your place. I'll meet you right back. All right, so now I'm on round 10. This is where we will be making his little arms. So for round 10, we're going to single crochet 2, remove your stitch marker, 1, place your stitch marker back, 2, and then we're going to bobble stitch. And then after we make our first bobble stitch, we're going to single crochet in the next 9 stitches. Again, don't forget there's a stitch right next to your little bobble stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Again, we're going to make, so bobble stitches tend to do this. All you have to do is just push from the outside, and there you go. Cute little knobby arm appears. So on the 10th stitch, we are going to again make our second bobble stitch for our second arm. And so in the last bit of this round, we are going to single crochet in the remaining 11 stitches before we get to our stitch marker. And 11. Woohoo! So again, that will be a total of 24 stitches for the round. You just want to make sure after every round that you're getting the same stitch count, especially when we get to our decrease rounds. So round 11 and 12, you're going to do just 1 single crochet in each stitch in the round for a total of 24 stitches. I will meet you back at round 13. We will start doing some of our decreases and we're close to being finished. I wanted to hop back on real quick to show you something. I should have showed you this earlier, but for you that are new crocheters, when you have your bobble stitch, it kind of goes up and down. So this right here is a stitch that you will need to go into right there, and then as it kind of curves back down, there's another stitch right there. So when you're going and doing the bobble stitch rounds and you feel like you might be off count, that could be a reason too. You want to make sure you're going through both of those stitches. All right, guys, so we actually only have 3 more rounds left. We have 13, 14, 15, and then we are done with our froggy. So on round 13, that's actually where we start our decrease round. We're going to single crochet 3. Take your stitch marker out, do your first stitch, place it back. So 1, 2, 3, and then this will be our first front loop single crochet decrease. So how to make that, and the reason I make that is it just makes it more seamless, it makes it more better looking. So to make a front loop single crochet decrease, you're going to insert your hook into, so I'll show you right here. If you're a new crocheter, when you make loops, you have your front loop, which is the closest to you, and then you have your back loop, which is further away from you. So to make a front loop single crochet decrease, you're going to be going through the front loops only. And that just makes it look better and it looks a little bit more seamless. So we're going to insert our hook kind of down instead of going through both. We're going to go through that front loop and kind of up through that middle of the V. You're going to grab your yarn and pull up a loop. And then instead of finishing off like you would a normal single crochet, you're going to go into the front loop on your next stitch, go through the middle of that yarn over, grab a loop. You'll have a total of 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So you just made a front loop single crochet decrease. And so we're going to do another 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then again do your front loop single crochet decrease. So do that sequence 2 more times, and then we will be doing a single crochet in the next 4 stitches to finish round 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're done. So again, I'm going to repeat that round 2 so it's nice and clear. Round 13, you do single crochet 3, single crochet decrease times 4. So you do that 4 times, and then in the last stitches after your last decrease, you will do 4 single crochet right before you meet your stitch marker. Okay, so now for round 14, we're going to be making the froggy's eyes. So we're gonna do kind of another round with the bobble stitches. So in the pattern, we are going to do 2 single crochets. 1, put your stitch marker back in. 2, and then in this round, we are also doing decreases at the same time. So do your first single crochet decrease. So front loop, go through the middle. So that's 1 single crochet decrease. And then we're going to do our first bobble stitch. All right. And after we're done making his first eye, we're going to single crochet 4. Go ahead and pop his eye right on out. And now we are going to complete his second eye. So do your other bobble stitch. And then after we do the bobble stitch, we are actually going to go back to our single crochet 2 and decrease. So we're going to do that pattern from here till we get to our stitch marker. So single crochet 2, 1, 2, and then single crochet front loop decrease. So we're going to go through our front loops on the next 2 stitches and decrease. Single crochet 2, and then do your front loop decrease, and then you're going to end the round with 2 single crochets. All right, guys, we are almost done. We are going to be placing the cute little froggy's facial features. This is what your little guy should be looking like right now. So in order to place your facial features, you can do whatever you want. You can do felt eyes, you can do yarn, you can leave it blank, whatever you would like. So in order to do the ones that I did on this little guy, I will show you how to do that right now. I went about 3 rows down, so 1, 2, 3, and I tried to find the most middle stitch I could. I kind of counted from his little arms there, so I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's about the closest I get to the middle. So you're going to go actually through the back side, kind of trying to go through the middle of that stitch. So you're going to go up through the middle, and then I just kind of went to the sides and I tried to find, you can make it very, very big close to the eyes. You can make it small, do like a tiny mouth. I kind of went in between and I just did a good little V there. So I went to about here and pulled through. And then what you're gonna do, you don't want to pull too tight because then that'll just make the mouth super, super thin. You're gonna go back through that same stitch same middle part of the yarn, you're going to go through the back and pull through again. And then you're going to pick the last place you want to put your V. I think I'm going to go, sometimes you just won't know until you try it. And that looks good. And now I'm actually going to go ahead and place my eyes. I kind of try to, you can place them wherever you'd like. I tend to put them towards the middle. So you have the middle here. I do the inner middle. And the reason I do that is because the outer edges tend to pop a little bit more around the safety eyes. So I kind of pop that right there towards the inner middle. And see how that little bobble stitch is going to pop right on the outside there. We're going to go on the other side and repeat the same thing. I kind of go towards the inner middle, push that through. If that looks good, you can move it around again. You can push them through, see if you're going to like it. Now, one side is just going to be different, a little bit different than the other one. The biggest thing is just making sure your eyes are lined up and they're not one's up here and one's down there. And so once you got them placed where you'd like, you're going to take your backing to your safety eyes and you're going to pop it right on. Right, so that is what our frog is looking like. And now we're going to go ahead and do the little eye accent pieces. And that's why I had you put your safety eyes on, or whatever eyes you're going to use. We're going to use that same thread that we use for the mouth. And I tend to go on like the outside corner of the eyes. And then I kind of just pick a spot on the inner corner of the eye and I push through to the back. Don't pull too tight. And that just kind of gives him a little accent under his eye. It just looks super cute. And then with the other piece of the yarn, which is right here, we're going to go ahead and repeat that step again. All right, so that is what he's looking like. You don't have to be necessarily very technical about it. You can do whatever you want and be as creative as you want with the facial features. Now, after I do that, I tend to go ahead and kind of tie that yarn. Not really tight because, again, you're going to make the facial features tight, but I just tie it a little bit just to secure it. And I just stuff that right in there because you're going to be stuffing it anyways. So that's what it's looking like. Now for after you're done doing all the eyes and everything, we're going to actually start stuffing the frog. And I'm going to be putting my scent pack in there. It's totally optional. You don't have to do it, but I tend to put a little bit of stuffing in there first. So when you stuff your frog, you don't want to like overstuff it, but you don't want to understuff it either. So you have to find a good median. I'm going to go ahead and put the scent pack in. Eventually, I'd love to get those. I just made this at home. I'm not a good sewer by any means, but there are some mesh bags that you can buy from Joann's, Walmart, so many places. They're like the little gift mesh bags that you could get for weddings. That would actually be perfect. So I got my little bag in there and I'm gonna go ahead and stuff him some more. I'm gonna move your stuffing around. So you wanna stuff to the point where it's kind of squishy, but it's not to the point where the stuffing is just like poking right through the stitches. You definitely don't want that. I kind of maneuver it around. You can kind of manipulate it from the outside, smooth it out until you get it exactly the way you want it. So go ahead and stuff your frog the way you want, and I will meet you back for round 15. That will be the end of Poppy the Froggy, and we will be done. All right, guys, this is what Poppy is looking like. Super cute. And literally the last round, all we're going to be doing is a single crochet and a single crochet decrease. So I'm going to stuff him a little bit more here in a second after we're almost done doing the round. So remove your stitch marker, do your single crochet. And I still place the stitch marker there because we will need that in a little bit. And then single crochet decrease. Now on some of these, especially going into the eye stitches, you might not be able to do the front loop single crochet decrease. That's completely fine. It happens because the stitches in the eyes are pretty hard to get into, especially with the safety eyes in. So we did our decrease. Now we're going to go through that first stitch in the eye, do a single crochet, and then do a decrease. So remember, when your eye goes up and down, it makes kind of a triangle. You'll have a stitch right here and a stitch going down. So make sure. Now this is the hard part. This stitch is right where your safety eye is. So sometimes it's super hard to get into that. Okay, so single crochet again, and then single crochet decrease into the next stitches, single crochet, single crochet decrease, single crochet, single crochet decrease. We're almost there. Single crochet. And then this is where the stitch marker comes in handy. That way you know when the round ends. And we are actually going to be doing our last single crochet decrease into the stitch marker. So single crochet decrease, and that is the last stitch of Poppy the Froggy. We're going to cut a good long piece of yarn, pull that yarn through. Now with this yarn you have to be careful because it can snap. I've had it happen to me. You just want to be a little bit careful, especially when you're sewing the top of the frog. We're going to thread our yarn. And me personally, I'm going to add a little bit more stuffing to the top. Like I said, you don't want to overstuff, but you definitely can add a little bit more stuffing at this part of the pattern. Thread your darning needle, and we are going to close the top of his head up. So if you want to make it kind of an invisible close, you'll actually go through the front loop again, and you'll weave in and out of the top of those stitches. And I'm just going through the front loop. And sometimes this yarn does shed too. But I do love working with it. It's super fun, and I love the way it makes amigurumi look. It's definitely my favorite look out of all the yarns you could use. But you can use cotton, you can use any type of yarn. The only thing is that it will end up making the frog a little bit bigger or smaller depending on the yarn you use. We're almost to the beginning here. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of hold here and pull, push down and pull a little bit more. And that's what it's looking like. We are almost done. And then for the top, I'm just gonna weave in and out to close any gaps and to secure the yarn. All right. So that is Poppy the Froggy. I do have a printable PDF in my Etsy store. I will link it down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and stay tuned for more tutorials. Have a great day. God bless, and I'll see you again.